So what if I told you overthinking isn't intelligence? It's actually fear dressed up as logic. Okay? One reason that overthinking may feel productive is because your brain is working, but a lot of times it's working overtime on the wrong things. A lot of times when we are overthinking, we fail to realize that it's just a different form of avoidance. Don't fight me. But I really want you to understand and take your time to realize how many things have I thought myself out of. A few weeks ago, I was talking about how, when it comes to even doing something so simple as playing video games, right? If I need to take a break, I will think myself out of it. So I've ran the whole game, the controllers, everything. I've done it all in my head before I actually have done anything. So in certain ways, it feels like I went through the motions, but I haven't done it. And now I'm tired. Now I'm fatigued. Or at least my brain is, right? So it's important to pay attention to how often you do that in your waking life to avoid the actual work. And if you feel stuck lately, you feel like you haven't progressed, you haven't done anything productive, but you feel like I've done so much. How much were you thinking about the things that you never done? See, our mind is a very powerful thing, and sometimes we kick it into overdrive when we are considering so many things versus just focusing on the necessary. Okay? And then task paralysis happens, right? Where you are so inundated with all the things that you need to do that you don't do any of it, right? Something that can be very helpful for you as you progress and you are setting goals or you're just looking to do things differently is paying attention to what am I thinking about versus what am I actually doing. And a lot of times overthinking is a way to protect us from failure, right? Doing something wrong, being perceived a certain way, shame. So we'll think out the thing before we actually have to do it. And that can be detrimental because even when it comes to having hard conversations sometimes, we will recruit people to be the bad guy in our narrative. And by that point, emotionally, we're getting charged. And in the relationship itself, we are having this weird dynamic with the other person and they don't even know about it. Or we reject ourselves for them before they even have the chance to show up. And then by the time we actually have the conversation, if we choose to, a couple of things can happen. Sometimes we are completely wrong about what they thought. Other times we projected this whole narrative into the situation before they even had a chance to speak. And now we are in a different level of dysfunction because of it. There is a such thing as thinking too much, but there's a such thing as thinking too much about the wrong thing without doing anything necessary. Okay? And you have to pay attention to when you are doing that and it keeps you comfortable. It keeps you from actually having to take action. But when you look at what you wanted to accomplish and you look at how disappointed you are or how burnt out you are, well, why is that? It's so crucial to recognize when you are fearing change or a lack of control, because a lot of times when we are overthinking, when we are ruminating, that is a way for us to control the narrative without anyone else's participation, right? If I'm left to my thoughts, no one can necessarily perceive me a certain way because people are not allowed to see behind the curtain. So I can think a bunch of things about a lot of things in my own way without being interrupted, without me being challenged, without there being a course correction. And sometimes we just want that, but we realize the outcome isn't beneficial for anybody. Think about the things that you actually overthink about and what you actually accomplish because of that. Now, there's a difference between planning things out, right? Having counsel and actually speaking things into action or considering various options. And then there's a whole other thing to let your mind be responsible for what your body should be doing. Okay? One of the concepts I started to develop is, the 5-second rule. think I've heard about it somewhere. Think about something for 5 seconds and then you do it. A lot of times when it comes to procrastination, there is a discomfort with doing the thing. And we create this whole idea of what can happen versus just being a participant in what is happening. We have this weird concept with the unknown where we always see it as something bad, right? Well, I don't know what the outcome looks like. Exactly. It could be the best thing for you, but you don't know because you're not willing to try. And sometimes we don't trust ourselves. I even talked about trust a long time ago. The ability to trust yourself means that even if things don't come out as expected, I will still be me. And I have been capable all this time, so I think I'll be fine here. When you are overthinking or you're finding yourselves in patterns of paralysis without taking actual action, I want you to ask yourself, what am I preventing? What am I trying to control? What do I actually desire? Success and stagnancy never hang out. And just because you feel tired, right, you're mentally drained, doesn't mean that you've actually put in any work. You just thought yourself out of it. Overthinking is not always a sign of intelligence. Okay? Overthinking is a way to override your personal responsibility in taking practical action and being challenged. So, as we move into this next year and as we move through this month, I want you to consider at least one thing. What have I been overthinking and why have I not taken action yet? And how fulfilled do I feel because of that? Something to think about, all right? Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Don't think too much about it.